YouTube channels. Managing your finances is the conversation we're having with Mr. Nico Kleynhans. Nico, always good to have you in studio, and thank you for your time, sir.
Pleasure. Well, now the election is over, and it's just the vote counting that's going to be happening, and that is obviously has already started. Some of the results have started coming in, but we're not really going to have much to work with until around Saturday. So it's going to be quite a few more days.
Yeah. Voter turnout looking good, in my opinion, but we'll have to see the final results, eh?
Yeah, the initial suggestions are that it's going to be more people pitched than normal.
Fantastic.
So that is good news. We need a higher turnout for opinions to be counting. But now I want to return to financial management, because in a sense, that's what we're supposed to be talking about in the mornings. And I find that there are around 10 possible mistakes that most people make when they deal with finances. And we're not going to be able to deal with all of those in the morning. I'm in fact thinking seriously of putting together podcasts where I can deal with this a lot more carefully. And the one that people often come to me is around the issue of debt, because people worry about how much debt they have. And that's really the wrong thing to look at. It's not how much debt, it's what that debt is costing you. That's really important. Because, and as a test, I actually went online and I looked at the mortgage calculators. What they don't tell you is how much that home loan is going to cost you over the period of the home loan. So you're looking at, I'm going to pay so much per month on the assumption that the interest rate's not going to change. I'm going to take a 20-year loan, and you don't understand what the difference would be if you took a 20-year loan versus a 25-year loan. And then suddenly you're going to not realize that you've added another 200,000 onto your debt by taking a slight extension. So in order to reduce the repayment by 500 a month, you've added 250,000 onto your debt load. So those are the implications. It's the same if you're buying a motor car. The dealer wants to make the car affordable. So he says, well, why don't you take a 6-year car loan? That 6-year car loan may add another 20,000 onto the price of the car. So it is the total debt that is critical, that is killing people. It's not necessarily only the interest rate, but you do need to look at the interest rate as well. And then the other thing that people don't understand is the whole issue of cash flow. They're looking at how much money comes in every month and how much money goes out. And then they say, well, I do have a 500 rand left over at the end of the month. And then I'm saying, okay, so that 500 rand, how much of that is going towards your holiday at the end of the year? How much of that is going to replace the school uniform? And then they say, well, actually, then I don't have enough money. So cash flow is really important. And this is why budgets are important, because budgets are there for putting away money for those things that you don't spend money on every single month. You want to go on holiday, you need to set aside. There's nothing worse than going on holiday and coming back when you've paid for your entire holiday on your credit card. Now you're sitting with, you've got to pay it back. And it robs you of the joy of what you had fun with while you were on holiday. So those are some of the issues that one has to look at when you're looking at financial management.
And then also the unforeseen, the dishwasher or the washing machine or the car that needs a new tire, or, you know, there's a leak in your roof and you need to have it replaced, so repaired.
Tell me about it. We've got an upright freezer. Okay. It committed suicide.
Oh, no.
They fixed it. It committed suicide a second time, because the first thing was the gas leak. The second thing was the heater that went because of the gas leak. So now that we didn't budget for, but we have emergency savings, but it becomes irritating that you have one problem and then you have another problem and then you have another problem. So yes, there are, when you're dealing with finance, it is in fact a strategy. It's not something you can just sit down with once every 6 months for 3 minutes and hope that is financial planning. It's not. And then you are going to have constant problems. So there is a whole strategy that has to be dealt with. And it is not something you can sit down with your financial planner for 20 minutes once a year and hope that's going to be called financial planning. It is not that at all.
Sure. Nico, then lastly, one of the things that I've heard a lot of people talk into is the whole space of, I've got little children. Maybe the child is 4 months old. Maybe the child is 4 years old, and they want to create a space for that child to get a good education after school. And of course, you get these things where you quote unquote save for their education, but typically I've seen that it doesn't work as effectively as it should.
Jonathan, you're being very polite. I'm going to be a lot more blunt than that. Education policies, I haven't recommended them in 30 years, and I'm not going to start doing that today. Education inflation is running close to 12%. If you are not getting in excess of 17%, you are wasting your money on those particular plans. That is blunt.
It is.
Because it's no good saving and you're not even getting growth that's going to beat inflation, education inflation. Not the inflation on the price of a bag of potatoes. It's on education. So certainly I see education as a community responsibility. You put together some kind of saving, you involve the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts, everybody together. When that child is born, they start putting money together on the birth of the child. Every time there's a milestone in the child's life, they contribute together. It's a family responsibility, so that by the time that kid wants to get to university, there is sufficient money to provide a decent education for that particular child. Yes, education is critical.
Absolutely.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah. Nico, thank you so much. And I love the fact that we can unpack this further and that you're really considering the podcast idea. I know that many people would probably say, hey, it's time Nico does a podcast, but always great to chat to you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Sure. Thank you.